What's up everyone, Chrono here, and today we are playing some more Avorion. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel and want to keep up with what we're up to, please subscribe as well. Share the video with others if you think they'll enjoy it, and lastly, if you want to help improve and support the channel, please check out the link to my Patreon below. So, I thought today what I would do is a video to help newcomers to Avorion get started. The game is seemingly simple when you first start it for some folks, but there's a lot of depth to this game. So I thought it would be good to give people something of an introduction, and I've been playing the game for about a week now, roughly thereabouts, since it released on Steam, and we've learned a few things and picked up a few tips along the way, so I thought it might be helpful for those who are just getting started. So first off, you start off in this little mining drone, and if you haven't done the tutorial yet, I would recommend it. It doesn't tell you everything you need to know to how to play the game, but it's definitely a good way to get started. And all you have to do to get in the tutorial, you can hold the shift key to release your cursor in the game, and you can go up and click on this question mark and begin the tutorial. I'm not going to do this in this video because it's something that you can do on your own, but I would still, again, highly recommend doing it. But when you first start off, you start off in this little mining drone, and about all that it can do is mine. And if you hit the P key, you can pull up your ship's information, and you can see that we've got really just 2 mining turrets on this thing, and they're made of iron, which is the lowest quality material you can make your ships from. So it's always going to be there, even if once you build a proper ship and it gets destroyed, you can always start back with this little mining drone. And the first thing that you are definitely going to want to do is to start mining. And you can see that there's all kinds of asteroids in this starting system, and you can use your middle mouse button to target things. Your left mouse button fires and your middle mouse button targets. So with this asteroid, we could go mine it, but we're not going to get a lot from it. What you want to look for are the asteroids that have the spots on them. Now there's a good one. And you can just use the WASD movement to move your ship around. W accelerates, S accelerates in the opposite direction, and if you hold the space bar, then you boost. And you want to be careful boosting. In light ships it's not too bad because you can slow down pretty quickly, but in heavy ships slowing down becomes a lot more challenging. So we're just going to boost over here to this asteroid. And all you have to do is left click when you have the asteroid targeted, excuse me, and you will just start mining it when it's in range. And you can see this blue circle, it's showing red and blue and whatnot. When you're in range, it will turn green. So you can just slow your ship down and start mining and mining and mining. And you will automatically pick up the materials as they come away from the asteroid. Sometimes they'll fly a little too far away, and you'll have to go over and pick them up, like this one right here. But for the most part, you pick up everything that you mine. So you're going to want to do this for a little bit because you need a fair amount of iron to get started, and that's all you're really going to find is primarily iron in your starting system, and you may find a few asteroids that have titanium in them. And you can see in the top left of the screen right here all of the different materials that you own. And those materials are listed in order from least to best quality. So iron being the least high quality, all the way up to Avorion, hence the name of the game, which is the best. And there is some story about how all of this came about as to what got you into the system. Avorion is basically the best material, and it was created by some hyperspace rifts and whatnot, so I'll leave that to you to get all of the story. But again, you're just going to want to start mining and mining and mining until you get enough stuff to build your ship. Now, the one thing that I can't emphasize enough is you don't want to build too big of a ship too quickly. It's very tempting to want to build a big ship in the beginning. You know, this game has been compared to Minecraft or Star Made, and you know, it's really easy to go in and just build this massive ship, but there are repercussions for your building actions in this game. First of all, you don't just build a ship and fly it. You have to have crew to man your ship, and those crew get paid by the hour. And you can see you start off with 10,000 credits to start, which is right here, and those credits are given to you in the beginning to help you buy, or rather pay for your ship construction, because even though you own the materials, it costs credits to put the parts on your ship. So you have to be really careful once you start hiring crew, because even on your own ship, when you first build it, you have to have crew for lots of different things, and the bigger your ship is, the more crew you need. So once you put on turrets for combat, for example, you have to have gunners to man those turrets. If you put on mining turrets, you have to have miners. Same thing for salvaging turrets. And all of those crew get paid by the hour, and it can add up very, very quickly. So you don't want to build a ship that's too big and have to have so many crew that you can't pay them, because once your crew needs to be paid, and if you don't have the money to pay them, then morale actually suffers, and they won't do their job and eventually can abandon your ship. So as you're mining, you can target the asteroids and you can see what type of material is in them by looking at this right here. So most of these again are iron, and I'm not going to mine a whole bunch to build a huge ship, but what we're going to do is go ahead and jump into a really quick ship tutorial. And in order to do that, to start your first ship, you let go of your mouse cursor and move up to this flag right here that says found ship, and you just enter a name of a ship. We're going to call ours the Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Bird. Little throwback to Futurama there for those who know. So as soon as we do that, we start off with just this block floating in space, and we get a message: our turning speed is bad, build more thrusters and whatnot. We have all kinds of warnings up here. So let's take a look at what they mean. We have no crew, we don't have any mechanics, our rotation, pitch and roll speed are bad, our braking and thrusting is terrible, and our ship is very weak compared to other ships in the system. All of that will be addressed in short order. So we're just in this block of hull floating in space. So what we want to do is hit the B key to bring up the build menu, and you can see this arrow facing forward, the big green giant arrow. It shows you the forward facing direction of your ship. So in order to get started, we have a row of blocks down here on the bottom, and you can see we have iron hull, vanilla iron hull, which is basically a hull without windows, our engine, stone, which is immune to electricity weapons, cargo bays, crew quarters, thrusters, armor, framework, which is low cost, helps you flush out your ship a little bit, and an iron dock to allow docking. If you hit this plus button, it pulls up all of the rest of the materials or objects that you can build from, and you can sort this in various different ways by the different types of materials. And if you scroll down, you can scroll down through all of the different types that you can build from. Of course, we're only going to be starting with iron. So let's just slap a few iron blocks on here. Let's just do one piece of blank hull just to get started here. So you pop that on and you just slap it on, just like in other block building games. But if you want to change the shape of it, you can do so with the WASD keys. If you hold the W key, it scales the block. If you hold the A key, it does it horizontally. If you hold the S key, it does it vertically. And if you hold the D key, it changes the depth. And you can see that it costs us credits and iron to put these blocks down. Well, the other thing that we have to pay attention to are the stats. And you can see here all of the different stats for your ship as we're building it. You really have to pay attention to the thrust, brake thrust, all of these stats that show how quickly your ship maneuvers. Yellow are warnings that say, hey, you might want to watch this. It's going to work, but it's not the best. And red are things that are not going to work at all. So we have no thrust, we have no braking thrust, no pitch, yaw, roll, and we have no mechanics. So the first thing we need to do is actually add an engine. So you can just click the engine block, pop it on, and now we have thrust. It's not great thrust, but we have thrust. The more engines you add, the more thrust you have. But you also have to watch how much power you're consuming when you're building. Now I'm going to hit Control Z, or you can hit the undo button and undo your last action. And you can actually undo several actions. But we're going to undo that, and let's watch our energy consumption. We're currently generating 0.5 gigawatts of energy, and our ship requires 8 megawatts. So let's redo that action and watch the energy. We now are generating half a gigawatt, but the required energy is 98 megawatts. Now if we were to add a couple more engines to this, like so, you can see that we go up to 0.28 gigawatts, which is consuming roughly half the energy that we're producing. We don't want to do that yet. So let's just undo that. The next thing we need to do is let our ship be able to move. So let's put on some thrusters. So let's find the thruster. And if you just place a thruster block, it actually builds like an array of thrusters. You need that for bigger ships, but not for the smaller ship. So what we're going to do is build a smaller thruster. If you hold the V key, it brings up pre-designed shapes. So we're just going to pick the little one and just slap on some little thrusters. And one thruster has thrust in all directions. So if we attach that, you can see that our thrust, velocity, and all of those stats are improving. So we still don't have the best thrust, but that's okay. We have pitch, yaw, and roll, which is decent. But we also need to have some crew quarters, because what's going to happen is once we put on, say, some miners, mechanics, and whatnot, we are going to need more crew quarters. So let's just slap some crew quarters on here. Let's change our block size. And you can see our crew quarters, if we look by comparison, crew quarters is 4. Take that back and we can now have up to 15 crew on our ship. So that's really important, because if you don't have enough crew quarters for the amount of crew that you have, again, morale begins to suffer. They won't do their jobs and they might abandon ship. So now we also want to have a couple of turrets. Well, by default you start off with some chain gun turrets and some mining turrets. So let's say we want to put on a couple of chain gun turrets. Well, we can't put those. Oh, well, it will let me. It won't let me put them on the front of the crew quarters. So let's put a couple of chain gun turrets on the crew quarters. And initially you can only have a total of 3 turrets on your ship. You can expand that later, but for right now we're just going to put those on. So once we add these turrets, you can see that we now require 4 total gunners, 2 total miners, we need an engineer, and we need a mechanic. So for right now we're going to call our ship built, and we are going to fly it around and try to go hire some crew. And you can hire crew at various different stations. So for example, dead ahead of us is the shipyard. All you have to do is middle click the button and you can talk to them. You can hire crew at this station, but you have to be docked in order to hire the crew. You actually have to dock to do any type of interaction that requires physical trade, such as buying and selling equipment, selling minerals at a facility that buys and sells minerals, or cargo. So we are going to head over to the station and dock, and we can speed that up a little bit by boosting, because we need to resolve all of these red icons. And there's a lot of other menus up here you can pay attention to. For example, we haven't insured our ship yet. You can buy insurance for your ship, and you can see the value of how much you have to pay for your ship's insurance which is 1292, and the ship is worth 4300. We're not going to do that just yet because we need to hire our crew, but that needs to be something you do pretty quickly, because inevitably you're going to get into some combat. And again, if you lose your ship, you always come back to your drone, so you can go mine some more and get some more materials to rebuild a ship, but you don't want to do that unless you have to. And while we are moving towards the shipyard, we can talk about a few other pieces of information you need to be aware of on the HUD. One of which is your velocity gauges. This top gauge shows how quickly you're moving. So you can see as I press the W key, that gauge increases. The gauge below that shows the amount of thrust that you're applying. Now, since I'm playing with the keyboard, I hit W, it applies all the thrust. I don't know if that gradually increases with a joystick or a gamepad or a HOTAS. I haven't tried it yet, but you can see the amount of thrust that's being applied. The bottom level is the amount of charge in your hyperdrive, and we'll talk more about the hyperdrive in a moment. Then the bottom menu, or gauges rather, these are your energy levels of your ship. So you can see this top gauge. This one is a little confusing at first, but what it shows is the amount of energy that your ship is consuming compared to how much it generates. So we're only using a little over a third, actually under a third of the energy our ship can generate. If that line is near the top, then your ship is using more, almost using more energy than it can generate, which is a bad thing. The line below that is the amount of charge in your batteries, and that line will increase and decrease as you drain your batteries. So once you engage hyperdrive, for example, and you jump into the system that you have targeted, then that battery is going to drain pretty quickly. Also, if you boost, the longer you boost, it's not doing it right now, but the longer you boost, the more that's going to drain, the longer you hold the boost. So we need to dock. We dock by targeting the station, and you can see the little icons appear for docking. All you need to do is move close to that dock icon. And once you're close enough, it'll pop up and say hit F to dock. And you want to be sure to slow down enough so that you don't overshoot or crash into the station. If you crash into the station, or you accidentally shoot the station or any of the ships in the sector, you will take faction reputation hits, because there are a lot of factions in the game, and factions determine whether or not they like you, they'll talk to you, they'll interact with you and whatnot. So let's dock, and you see our list of options here. At the shipyard, we can actually build more ships. There's an electronic bulletin board, which is where you get missions. You can repair your ship here, we can sell goods, but we want to hire some crew. So let's look at the crew that we need before we hire them. We can see that we need a mechanic, we need an engineer, 2 miners, and 4 gunners. So let's hire our mechanic. We need 1 of those, and you can do that just by adjusting these sliders. So 1 mechanic. We need an engineer. So let's hire 1 engineer. We need 4 gunners. And we need 2 miners. And I also usually hire a couple extra crew just to be safe. And this down here is pilots. If you have fighters in your fighter bays and whatnot. So we should have all of the crew that we need. So let's pull up our ship menu and take a look. Yep, we have all of the crew that we need. So once you hire crew, you can either elect to let the ship assign the crew that it needs as needed, or you can do it yourself by assigning and unassigning. And you'll notice that I have 1.5 of 1 engineers and 1.5 of 1 mechanics. That's because the ship has automatically placed them in there to the additional true crew that I have, basically to help out. So we have our crew, but You see it still, we have a warning. It's very weak compared to other ships in the region. You're going to want to build your ship up a little bit to begin with. You're going to want to build the hull out to be bigger, put more turrets on it, get it moving a little quicker, put some armor on it, because in short order, pirates and aliens are going to be coming into this sector, and you are going to have to fight them. So you want to get your mining done as soon as you, and right here they come actually, a small group of alien ships has appeared. So they're going to pop in, and you're going to have to do some fighting fairly soon. So get your ship built, get some stuff on it. It doesn't have to be huge, because what's going to happen is they're going to fly in here rather, not walk, and they're going to engage with all of these other ships in the sector. And once they do, you can take advantage of that and shoot away, get some reputation, get some money, and start building your ship up more. So the next thing we need to talk about is how to travel around. Obviously you want to fly around in your sector, and the map, or rather the galaxy, is divided up into sectors, and we can look at that by hitting the M key. The M key shows us the map of the entire galaxy. You have quadrants and sectors. So we are in this quadrant, and we're in this sector right here at these coordinates. You can see these lines, and these lines represent the gates that you can use to travel to other sectors. And all you have to do to go through the gates is just fly through them. You just fly up to them and literally fly through them. You don't have to do anything special. And those gates are denoted with directional bearing. So this is east-northeast gate, which would take us here. The other gate, and if you can't find something, you can see these icons at the edge of the screen. The other gate is in this direction, right here. And that's the west-northwest gate. That will lead us here. And you can see all of these green little dots flashing. Those are points of interest that you're aware of. As you take missions and talk to NPCs and in the quadrants and sectors, once you learn of these places, they'll begin to flash like this to show you points that you might want to investigate. The green coloration on the map shows us the attitude of the system owners towards us. So green is good, blue is neutral, and red is hostile. And then this blue circular shape here shows us our jump range. So what we want to do, we got some pirates coming in. We haven't built our ship up enough yet because we're just doing a tutorial, but we want to jump to another sector for demonstration purposes. So all you need to do is right click and click on enter coordinates into the navigation computer. And then you're going to see this blue targeting reticle pop up, and it's going to say that it's calculating the jump route. Depending on how far away it is and your ship's capabilities, it takes shorter or longer to calculate that. So our route is calculated, and all we have to do is tap the space bar and we jump. So we are now in this sector, and hey, this is an interesting sector because there's a lot of salvage here, a lot of wreckage. And as soon as you can, you will find salvaged turrets, and salvaged turrets let you take this wreckage and basically shoot it with your turret, and it will destroy the wreckage and reclaim any materials, modules, turrets, money that are in the wreckage. And that's something you want to do pretty quickly because you can get a lot of really good salvage from this wreckage. But you can see as we jump, let's go ahead and jump back and pay attention to what our hyperdrive charge is doing. So we're still calculating the jump. It's done, and we jump back to the home sector. Now watch, you can see that this is charging, and as it's charging, our ship energy usage is maxed, and this battery is draining. Now on bigger ships, that drains very, very quickly. You can build more batteries to put onto your ship and increase the amount of energy that you generate on your ship by adding generators. And then this bottom gauge is basically the health of your ship. So you obviously want to pay close attention to that. And as your ship starts to take damage, you'll see an icon pop up here that shows you that you're damaged. Now after we've jumped back in, Tyogi the adventurer is talking to us. You want to talk to Tyogi, or if that's the name of the person in your sector, finish the conversation, because they give you some good story bits and will give you a module to put onto your ship. Actually, let's go ahead and just run through that real quick, because there's something else I want to show you. And I'm just going to blast through this. Let's see, did she give us the module? No, I didn't finish the conversation. But you talk to her and go through the conversation tree, and she'll give you a module to plug into your ship. Let's see if we can actually do that. Can you give me some tips? Talk about something else. And nah, she's not going to give it to me. He, she. Anyway, you can navigate that tree, and then she'll give you a module. And that module, you can hit the P key. Oh, that's the player menu. And get to this tab right here for systems. And this is where you can put in modules for your ship. Modules will do all sorts of different upgrades. They can increase your radar, radar scanning range, your jump range, energy generation, the amount of turrets that you can add to your ship. They can upgrade every aspect of your ship. And then the way that you add more modules is to increase the volume of your ship. So you can hover over this one, and you can see that you need a volume of 128k centimeters to unlock this next module slot. So you basically just keep building your ship up. As you build your ship up more, you can add more modules. So let's look at a couple other things in the ship menu. You can see just the summary of your stats, and you can see the turrets on your ship. So usually on this top row are your combat guns, and then on the bottom row are your mining and salvage turrets. You can click on these and assign groups to them just by tapping the number keys. So after we've done that, you can see that they are down here, and you can right click on these and change all types of different settings for them. So let's just say, for example, we only want our turrets, our combat turrets. You can just tap one and only shoot those. If we want our mining turret, we just select that, or we can have them both on and fire them both at the same time. And you want to be careful with that. I usually just turn mine off whenever I'm not using them, to make sure I don't accidentally shoot someone. Next, you can see your crew summary. This is their morale. Again, you want to make sure they're paid and that you have adequate crew quarters, because this will drop, and when it does, these icons will start to flash and they won't do their job. Your ship systems, as we looked at before. Cargo. As you get into combat or destroy ships, you can pick up cargo, or if you do missions, you'll take on cargo to deliver. And you can see all of that here. This is your ship's energy, and with that you can see the required energy, your energy produced, and how much energy each system is taking up. You can rearrange these as well. I usually don't, but if you're in an emergency situation and need to rearrange, you can. You just want to make sure that you don't put something over top of like life support, because you will smother your crew. Kill them and then have to go hire a new crew. And then this is once you get a hangar for ships, you can build squads in this tab for drone combat. You can hit I to pull up your player menu, and this shows you the ships that you control, what's in your inventory, your relationships with other factions, and any missions that you're on. So you can see that we have one mission here already for a distress signal, and that will show up on the map. You can see right here this little distress signal, and we could go over there, and it could be anything from people that are in legitimate danger It could be a trap. There could be any number of things. Let's pull up our menu here again. Now, in regards to hiring ships, again, you can go to the shipyard. Let's find our shipyard. Looking for the icon. Even though you can see the icons on the edge of the screen, sometimes they're a little challenging to find. I usually just pan my mouse around until I find it. There we go. There's the shipyard. So from the shipyard, again, you can build ships. Now, to build ships, you don't actually have to be docked. You can give it the command to build the ships. And here in this menu, you can change the scaling of the ship, its volume, and as you do so, it increases and decreases the cost of the ship. You can make it a single block so that you can build it yourself. You can set it to be a station founder to give it the capability to build a space station, which you can do in this game, obviously. After I said that, you can buy insurance for it from the beginning and automatically hire crew and captain. And you can change the style of it. So you can see there's 3 different styles you can typically choose from. You can also change the ship's seed. That's hard to say. Ship seed. Because the ships are seeded just like the universes are. And if you're familiar with these types of building games like Minecraft and whatnot, you kind of know what a seed is, but it's basically a number that determines what happens in the algorithm to change the build out. So you can put in your own seed, remember your own seed, give it a name, and you can see its statistics. And then again, once you do that, you have to hire the crew. Once you have the ship, you can build it out just like your own ship. You can hit F to go into the ship and interact with it. You can give it orders, all sorts of things. And you can run your own fleet. But you have to be ready to pay the crew. And once they're ready to be paid, it is not cheap. So you want to be very careful about that in the beginning. I made that mistake in one of my games. I hired 3 ships. I was so happy because I had all 3 ships in the sector mining and I was gathering iron like crazy. And then it came time to pay them. And it was going to cost me 90 grand to pay the crew of my ship and the 3 ships that were with me. And I had 15. There was no way I could pay the crew. So again, don't build too quickly or you're going to have to maybe either restart or sell off assets or strip your ship. And you'll figure it out. I wouldn't worry about restarting. I've restarted 2 or 3 times already learning the mechanics. My good buddy Velks, who does other videos with me, he's played a lot of these types of games and has had to restart a couple times himself. And we are now actually running our own server and playing on that. And for the last thing that I'm going to do on this video, I'm going to switch over to that server and show you a little bit about salvaging. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I'm about to jump into this sector that I want to use for the salvage demonstration, but there's going to be some combat, so this is a good opportunity for me to show you guys some combat, so get ready. I may have to run, but I want to demonstrate how this is done, so let's jump in. So you can see that there are some red reticles here, and you can hit R to target the nearest combatant. So I've got my main guns armed down here, so let's get close enough to actually engage. You can usually engage at your turret's firing distance, and for me that's at about 5 kilometers. So let's get close enough here. I'm boosting, or trying to boost, but because I just jumped in, I don't have enough energy in reserve to do the boost. I can start shooting, but I'm not going to hit. And I have all of these turrets in one group together, and these are all chain gun turrets. I don't know what that's doing. So I'm shooting because I'm getting in close range. You can see I'm starting to hit it, and you'll see the numbers pop up as I do damage, and they're already hitting me They've done damage to my thrusters. And you can see I'm just spraying this thing with damage. And I keep rotating to get a good beat on him. And he's down. When his hit box or hit point bar is gone, he's down. Any other damage you do after that point goes towards salvage. And it will just destroy the wreckage. And you can see he dropped what looks like a module. Yep, a turret module. So you can't repair immediately. You have to wait so many seconds. I have 5 more seconds before I can repair again. So I've repaired just in time to engage in this next one. And I think this is the last of them. I wanted to get rid of these guys so that I could do a lot more salvage work here, because this sector has a lot of salvage in it. And they aim at your thrusters. They go after your thrusters like the first thing. Because if they hit your thrusters and knock them out, it's hard for you to maneuver, hard for you to hit them, and you can be dead in the water. So make sure you have plenty of thrusters. Not just 1 or 2 big ones. Make sure you have plenty that help you do your maneuvering. That way, if you lose one, you're not completely screwed as a result. And you have to be careful too, because a lot of times they'll run into you. Perfectly valid combat tactic in this game, but you can hurt yourself as well as your target. Come on, we've about got him. And he's down. Alright. So with that, I'm going to get into a better position and then show you guys a little bit more about salvaging. Okay, so this is the ship that I have built so far. My first ship, I'm not completely happy with the design. I've got some other ideas in mind, but I have been salvaging like crazy with the ship. And I popped into this sector here, and there was so much to salvage. So I thought it would be a good way to give you guys an example of how to do it. So you can see I have down here 3 turrets. My combat turrets, my salvaging turret, and my mining turret. So I'm just going to turn on my salvaging turret. Target this wreckage. Fly up to it. And basically, again, just start shooting it with my salvaging gun. You can salvage without a salvaging gun. You can use just regular turrets just to destroy it. Salvaging guns are just faster and better at it. So I'm going to slow down here. Probably, if you're moving too fast in a big ship, all you need to do is turn around in the other direction and boost, and that'll slow you down. And you can see I've slowed down enough that I'm not going to collide. And if you do collide, you'll see parts fly off your ship. You can salvage those parts if they do, but you want to make sure to pick them up. So here we go, getting close enough. Also, to fly your ship, if you hold the Q button, it pushes you down. The E button pushes you up. The Z and X keys do your roll. So we're close enough now, and we just start shooting it. And as we do, parts start flying off. The green dots that fly out are credits. You can see that we're getting iron. And once you have it targeted, you can see what resources it's going to give you. We're going to get iron and titanium from this. We also may get turrets, we may get modules. But salvaging is a very important part of the game's design. I've gotten a lot of good stuff, and right there's a module that just flew off. Or a turret, I think that's a turret. Yeah, that's a turret. And all you have to do is fly close enough and pick it up, and boom. Ooh, that's a big turret. Let's take a look at what we got. A quad bolter. So it's got 4 cannons on it. Now that one overheats. That's something you'll have to watch out for on your turrets. If they overheat, then they're going to shut down. And here you can see the modules that I have found so far. And in my ship, these are the modules that I have plugged in. So I found this module which gives me +3 turrets. I have one that will detect valuable objects in the sector that I'm in, one that increases my hyperspace jump capabilities, and one that upgrades my radar. Most of those I have found either in combat when they've been knocked out of ships, but most of them I have found during salvage. That's all there really is to it. Just mine, salvage, build your ship up, and there's lots of interesting things to find as you explore the galaxy. There's traders to deal with, factions to improve your relationships with. The closer you get to the center of the galaxy, the better the materials are that you find, and the tougher the enemies become. So lots of meat to this game so far, and we've been having a blast with it. We are going to be doing more videos for this game, especially as we're playing on the server, so stay tuned for those. This is a large scale game and something that I'm not going to play through too quickly, and I'm going to have to get out of here because some alien ships just warped in, and those are no bueno, and I'm by myself. So let's just calculate a jump right out of here. And you can see it's going to take me a little bit longer to jump than it did my little bitty ship. And we get the heck out. And I'm in a fairly quiet system, so that's a good place for us to stop the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Again, we'll be doing more of these videos for Avorion because we're having a great time with the game. So thanks for watching, and remember, if you enjoyed the video, to hit that like button, share the video with others, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out the link to my Patreon below if you want to help and support the channel. So have a great day, and hope to see you in the next one.